Hello, hello, hello. Good evening again. And thank you so much for joining the $1 Million Employee Talk Show. I have a very special guest today. I have a very special topic, a topic which is very close to my heart. And I thought, why don't I speak to somebody who's been there, done that, and take us through the journey about learnability. Why do I do these shows? Why do I get people for this conversation? A few years back, I decided to look at what are the things that help people create more and more value at workplace, and that's where the idea of the $1 Million Employee as a concept came up. I've been working with people who have created immense value at workplaces. I've been looking at things that have worked for me and not worked for me. I've been looking at people who have been there, done that, and I've been learning from them to understand what different things do they do to create tremendous value for themselves, and in turn create a lot of value for the organization. And there are five core things that I have as of now, because it's a journey of continuous learning. Five things I believe are extremely important for each one of us to create incredible value. Number one, accountability and ownership. Number two, the power of aspirations, the power of dreams. Number three, self awareness. Number four is learnability, and that's the topic that I'm going to cover today, learnability or personal growth. And number five is the power of action. So, without much of a ado, let me welcome here the guest for today. Hi, Shagun.
Hello, Ketan. Hello, everyone.
All right. So, I know most of you can't physically clap, but I'm sure Shagun deserves that for the time that he's giving to us, and to all of you for giving your time today. Shagun, before I'm not going to talk much about Shagun. You can go to LinkedIn, understand more about him. But two, three interesting things that I discovered about Shagun, and that's where I thought it would be good to get him here. And Shagun, thank you again for your presence here. It means a lot to us. You're giving us your time, and I am certain that we create a lot of value for people who are watching it live or are going to watch it later. Shagun works with Adobe right now, and he takes care of the APAC, so certain countries APAC, which is ANZ region. And two very interesting things. If you go to his profile, he has about 61 recommendations that he has received from people that he's worked with. Now, that's tremendous. That's incredible. And you read each one of them, it'll start to tell you who Shagun is, why he speaks about leadership or digital or creativity or people management. It's overwhelming. And it's amazing. Just go through his LinkedIn and please do check out the feedback and the reviews that people have given. And he has also given about 50, 60 reviews to people who have worked with him. That takes a lot, right? Because he is giving time and value to people who his work, and I'm sure in return he's receiving a lot of things. Also on his LinkedIn, you will see his farewell note from CPN. I think this was right before he was joining Adobe. It's heartwarming. Just go to the link, read about it, and you will understand Shagun more and more about Shagun. And when I went through it and I've been following his post, I said, I need to see if I can get Shagun for this conversation. So, Shagun, congratulations for the incredible work that you're doing. And thank you again for coming
Thank you
and
so
giving.
much. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the posts, I think this was yesterday or today, this is how it reads. If you don't value self, who else will? This doesn't mean to lie anyhow, but at least speak true about yourself. And if there are gaps, work on those. And if your strengths are not known to others, you are responsible to share and talk about them as well. It's so powerful, Shagun. It resonates to the fact that one thing that I've learned is the power of ownership and accountability is that we need to take care of ourselves first. If
Yep.
we don't, right? Nobody will. And if you don't know our self worth, if you don't work towards it, if you don't craft it, and you're right, nobody's going to care for us as much as we do. So that's Shagun for you. A little bit about you, Shagun, apart from the work and things which are there on LinkedIn. Who is Shagun? A quick note on that.
Yeah, so firstly, thank you, Ketan, for having me on this medium. So I'll not talk about the professional side because you've already covered it well. And I think, as you already mentioned, things are there on the public forum, so I don't need to speak about that. On the personal side, I think been in the industry for 18 years. I think that's also something on the professional front. But on the personal side, again, I think one thing which has kept me moving is the power of learning, where I would say, and it's not just on the professional side, even personally, you learn a lot. And I think books have been one of the best help, which you go through and somehow you correlate things. Okay, was it something related to this that I could use it? I think that has been one thing on a personal front, I would say, on the book side, where you get to learn a lot of things from them, from the experience of others, because it's not required that you do the same mistakes which others have already done, and learn from it is a better bet, I would say. Though making mistake is also not that bad either. I think
Yeah.
now people are talking openly about I made this mistake and whatnot. So that's also, I think, one of the medium to be open enough on that. And then I think on a secondary note, on a personal front, I think health is one of the thing that I have not, I would say, lately realized. I think for last at least 10 odd years, I've realized that keeping it on the second side will not help. So you can be like learning a lot and doing a lot of things, but keeping your health at priority is also one of the important thing, and working on your health. Maybe like any physical activity. A lot of people say, okay, I do this, I do go to gym and whatnot, but are you doing that consistently is also one thing as part of that, or maybe like keeping it on the trend is something again like which am a big believer and actually a big follower. So I almost like walk 8 to 10 kilometers every day. The latest passion that is about started almost like 2 months back is cycling along with walk, which started from 4 kilometers in 30 minutes and now almost roughly 8 kilometers in 30 minutes, still achieving more targets, I would say. So that's again, I would say on a personal front, there have been few learning that I believe, yes, you should go ahead and talk about it, because many times I think people talk about only professional side and they don't talk about the personal front, which is like a sad state, because if you're personally fit and doing well, I would say you can act more fast in many directions, I would say. And then
Sure.
I'm part of Gurgaon city. Of course, saying that, I think virtually we can be available anywhere at this point of time. Yeah, and been on LinkedIn from 2005, but actively contributing, I think for last 2 years is what I would say, through post and collaboration, networking as such. And I think one of the things that we are here is also about because of LinkedIn, the way we met and came here as such. Yeah,
All
I
right,
would
so
say
a
that.
few things that I pick up. Thank you so much. And Tony Robbins says something: success leave clues. And his methodology is that if you want to do something, look at people who have been there, done that, learn from what they're recommending not to do, and learn from what they've done, and imitate that if you want to move faster. And yeah, and books is I think we'll talk about that during our course of conversation today. And health, absolutely. I realized it late, but I'm glad I picked it up. And while we do that, we have Ashish. Hi, Ashish. Thank you. Big hello from our side also. Thank you for joining in. We have Arjun Mohan. He says, hello, Shagun sir. So, Shagun, that's for you. Thank you, Arjun, for joining in. Uh, so that brings me to the first question, Shagun, and I'll tell you why and where this question is coming from. Uh, most of us, and including me, used to think that formal education is where learning stops. And I was also conditioned like that when I was growing up, saying that, okay, finish your 10th or 12th or graduation, post graduation, and then, get on the job and you will learn everything in the process. You don't need to invest further. This was at least is what I was told. And I realized a lot of people still do it, right? Where they think that education is like just complete it so that we get a job and that's it. Where do you think, and uh, is this is coming from, and how, what's your point of view on how important is the process of continuous learning even after the formal education gets completed?
Yeah, I think you've got a very valid point where I think parents and everyone they usually talk about you do the 10th or the 12th and then you're done like just to the graduation and like, you're settled. That's last step. I think that's the myth because I think the actual learning starts immediately after it because the books and education we get is very much helpful for our overall upbringing and knowledge around the different concepts. But actual learning happens on the job where of course like I would say one of the form is certification. A lot of people think that doing a certification is helpful, but doing the certification and not implementing is the worst thing because just having them will not help you either. So doing the certification and acting on it together is a full package. And I would say that way, specifically like how to get to that certification level. Firstly, going through that in-depth details around the topic so that you can do well, and then of course implementing it to make it a full-fledged package is what I would say it goes on. And then it's not just a one-side thing that certification alone would help you or just acting on it. It's a continuous process. I would say in last roughly 18 years I have worked on different streams where there has been continuous learning. And I think a well saying is if you don't know something, say yes, I will do and then learn it. I think that is the best way to pick it up and then learn onto it. So I've been into different roles from like development to system analyst to business analyst, uh, management, leadership, all the roles. There has been enough learning, and of course, like that has been one driver to keep you in an organization also. Because the learning stops, you would think that that's a time that you need to move out as well as part of that organization, because you need to be like pretty much on your toes. Otherwise, you're just leaving the door to be replaced. As such, I would say it that way.
And can you repeat that statement that you said? If you don't know how to do a job, say yes and learn. Right? That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. So
exactly.
it's more like I think it's a well known saying, a very powerful one that if you don't know something, first say yes and then learn it to really achieve it as such.
All right. So make a note of this, audience. If you don't know something, say yes and then learn about it. And that's a phenomenal way to of taking on newer responsibilities and newer challenges. Something I've also realized is if we keep on doing what we were doing, we'll keep on getting what we have been getting, right? So if you don't change it, if you don't change the outcome, the standards of play, or the game that you're playing, don't expect a different outcome by just repeating what you've been doing. So thank you so much for that, Shagul. And where do you think this comes from? Why do you think we stop, self-driven learning after our college or formal education is done?
So I would say there is a sad thing about being comfortable. The moment you get into something and you get comfortable, I think that is the poor state because you're stopping your own growth after that. So hence, it's wise to be uncomfortable and be uncomfortable. I would say always, so that you continue to be like learning as such. uh, I think one thing is like if you are getting too comfortable in your particular place on a personal or professional front, either there is something that you will not really see or not learn as such. So better to be like thinking around what else I could do. Again, that doesn't mean that you have to be always uncomfortable because there are times when which you actually require to be comfortable as well. And everybody like appreciates that, but it should not be getting too comfortable for a longer time frame is what is risky as such. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is a very thin line between knowing when
Yeah.
to pivot and progress.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I was reading, so the two books. One is a book called Just Do It, and the other book is called Flow. In Flow, the author speaks about something very powerful. He says that, and this is global. This is not only India. The Because the education that is imparted formally is completely outside driven, outside, and somebody decides, you know, what do I learn, when do I learn, how do I learn, and what do I do with the learning. And I had this realization when I moved from a very large corporate to a startup. Now, if any one of you have worked in startups are where everything has to be done from the scratch. You are building things which have not been there. And I started my career from Aditya Birla Group, and I was a management trainee. And there is a lot of focus on personal development, professional development that the group does. I'm so glad that I started my career there. I give a lot to where I am today because of how it started. And every few months, there is a individual development program. There's a talent plan that will come in, and I would be recommended, saying that, okay, Ketan, you need to learn this. Why don't you open this program and so on and so forth. And it kept on happening. Now, when I joined the startup, I was supposed to build up the entire people function. And while I was trying to take care of the organization, I realized that learning, formal structured learning was a secondary step, right? Because the idea was just to make sure that the business is up and running and you're creating some value so that you can continue and grow. And for about 3 4 years, I realized that I had done nothing about
Mhm.
learning. And I was somewhere because I had a conditioning of about 30 years since childhood till Adaptability group saying that somebody will come and tell me, Ketan, this is what you should learn. And this is when you should learn. And these are the courses. And this is how you should learn. And this is what you should do with the learning. I was in the same mindset. But those 4 years, I realized that I was over dependent on somebody else to come and
Yes.
do something about it. And thanks to a formal education, with all due respect to whatever I've learned, the structure. But that was one movement that I realized that we need to take ownership of
Wow.
our learnability, and that
Yep.
that was the biggest lesson that I learned from moving to a large setup to startup.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. I think that many of us realize. I think realization is one of the powerful thing that you need to at least acknowledge it that yes, something is not going right, and then act to it. So that yes, I am responsible for my own learnability. There is like something that we all should look forward to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then so the question here is how much do you think individuals should be dependent upon organizations or bosses or talent partners to decide what do they learn, how do they learn, when do they learn, and what should they do with the learning? How much dependent? What has been your personal experience or personal strategy around this?
Sure. So I think I have worked from startup to middle level of companies and absolutely like fortune level companies as well. So I have experience with almost all the kind of different organizations. And I would say one thing that is really available in all the organization is support for learnability for sure. None of them say that we're not providing you support. Even if you go ahead and talk about it, everybody would acknowledge it. But it's not a push down always in most of the organizations. Many times, even the push down is on the specific organization level goals that this is what as an organization we want to achieve, and so you need to do things like that. Maybe like if I talk about few of the organizations in the past, they have pushed down some certification which would have made them more valuable in terms of that they have these many certified people. So organization would first think about them as the primary counterpart as well, than only about your growth. So you are yourself also very much responsible for making sure what I can do. So I think during COVID time, most organization went ahead and said, okay, you have free Udemy courses now. A few Coursera courses now. Go ahead and enroll for it. But how many people did enroll? Maybe 20%, 30%. How many of them valued their own learning, went ahead and utilized that? Many of the people thought, oh, it's there, we'll do it tomorrow, but that tomorrow never comes. So I think even if the organization says that yes, you have the power, you have these material, if you are not really valuing that time or not valuing your own time, I would say in that direction, nobody else can force you to learn as such. So you as a end person is very much responsible for your own growth, and almost 80% of the time it is you who is going to take over that initiative if you want your own growth as such.
That's extremely meaningful and powerful. And what Shagun is also saying here is we need to take care of ourselves and take ownership of our learnability. Organizations would do what they believe is important from the organization goal perspective, and they're absolutely right there. But similarly, like organization has a goal, right? The question this leaves is, do you have your own learnability goal? Do you have you set up where do you want to reach and what kind of learnings that you want to implement? If you are in a part of a great organization, absolutely organization will take care of it. And there are times when you won't have, would be a part of an organization which is the built up space, built up the phase. So and that's where you will have to stay focused on what do you do and how do you focus on your learnability. Thank you, Shagun, for that.
Yeah, and I would say like many times we get into that zone that okay, my friend is doing it, so I need to do it the same course. But that's not going to help you because if you don't really are resonating to that course, let's not do that just for the sake of doing it. So what you like, what you think is something that you want to do, please go ahead and do and enroll for those courses or for that stuff. I would say in that direction.
But thank you. I'll come to that. And Pani Srivastava is there. She's saying rightly said. Shagun Pani, thank you for joining in. Uh, so Shagun, let me take from what you were just saying. Now, what's happening in the world is now and post COVID with so much of digitization and so much of information available. I have realized people, including me, get confused on what to learn. And just because five of my friends are doing a course,
Yeah.
most of the time I'm going ahead and doing that course and realizing, I've invested time, I possibly invested money, but it has done nothing to me. So, how should one go about choosing what channels, what kind of courses, what is the timing to look at, what kind of investment, how should one, arrive at that decision? Because there's so much available, and I would say there is a lot of value in each of the content, but is the content valuable to know, going to be valuable to me or not? How do I arrive at that? Are there tricks or hacks or processes that you use to understand which courses or which kind of learnings do you pick up?
Yeah, so one thing I think we all need to realize is what do we like, not what the world likes or where the world is running. Because a lot of time people just pick up trends. Oh, my friend just did an artificial intelligence course or a machine learning. Yeah, this is good. Let's just do it. But is that something that even entices me as such or not? Is something very much relevant that we should really check on that front. Reason being that if we are going or following somebody else, either my roadmap is also aligned to him or her, then that's still sensible. Secondly, what kind of people you're connected to, that also matters a lot. Just don't be connected to the list of people you know. Try to identify people who are different from you and like who are really doing well, not only in the organization front, maybe like even at an influence level. At I think LinkedIn is one of the very powerful system. You can see people across industries. You can see what they are doing as well. So I would not say you have to just do something for the sake of what other is doing, but at least learn from what that course is about before actually investing your time, because one of the major thing you do is invest your time and sometimes even money in those courses. Read the feedback of the people who have done. Maybe ask them a question. Till you ask, nobody's going to say like anything else, right? Just ask the question first. If they can help you, get on a call. What was that they learned from it? Was it helpful or not? That's one of the thing I would say I've always done if I wanted to invest my time into any of the courses. Secondly, like it is more on the lines what is trending or about to happen soon in your industry. At least be upskilled on that front for sure, because that is going to help you be ahead in the game from the rest. So usually many people they would learn things on the job or by implementing it. But if something is coming new in the market, you know this is going to be enticing enough and this is where the market is heading towards, at least go ahead and invest time, provided you are linked to that particular course as such, I would say. Just not that this is something new and I should go ahead and invest my time. This is in line with what you've done, totally not adversely different from what you have been doing in the past. That way I think it helps us as an individual also to grow our strengths in the same direction, because you would like to do things which are aligned to your overall personal goal also, that yes, this is what I love to do and would help me in my day to day practice also. So these kind of things even your organization would appreciate, and many times they would even sponsor those courses. Yes, yes, why don't you go ahead, because this is going to advance or give us advantage that you are already certified or you're already like learning that thing which we're going to implement in the upcoming time. So that's also something I would say helped me, because I've been usually picking up courses which are in different streams but has helped my organization as well as me to be like ahead in the game as such. Yeah.
Got it. So if I pick up few of the pointers, very, very important ones. One, understand what you like and learn in that area. That's one thing that I pick up from what Shagun has said. Second, he also mentioned about look at your professional or personal goal and find what is relevant and what is trending and what is futuristic and something that you have not done. So that's the second part that Shagun said. Third, to validate how good the course is and how relevant it would be, he's saying do some research and speak to people that have gone through that particular course. And there is a saying that I love, which is, we are the average of the five people that we spend the maximum time with, right? So something similar to that. Look at people, who are inspiring, who have been there, who've been talking about that. See if you can reach out to them and understand the relevance of the course. And fourth is he keeps on talking about implementation, right? I think we'll come to that about that towards the end. But what I hear Shagun a lot is about how do you implement it? How do you put into practice? How do you take action about it when you have done the planning? So that's the four major takeaways from me. And Prashant has a question. Prashant, let me pick your question. Thank you for asking that and joining in. Shagun, if you can see a question here on the screen. So
Sure.
Prashant says focus is an important function of learnability. Ketan, Shagun, please share habits that can help in this regard amidst so many things seeking our attention. Thank you, Prashant, for that. Shagun, you want to share your perspective and a add?
Yeah, for sure. I think focus certainly is one thing that we need to be also aligned. So, like I think Kitan, what you were saying, that during the time frame when we are working, many times we are so engrossed in the work that we forget about our own learnability. That do we have to even grow ourselves or not? I think the time we realize we will always find time, and when we have time for things that we love, we will also have a focus. And then primarily, I
Hmm.
would say you need to keep a consistency with that focus. It's not that today I have to just do it, and then tomorrow I think I'll do it tomorrow. That is the biggest failure, because the moment you leave that focus, you're out of it. So, for example, if I have to read a book, I have a set time. It doesn't mean that the set time moves off that I will not be reading the book. I have to read a book. I have to maybe read one page before I go to sleep. I will do that in my day, whatever time it is. If not at the same time that I have really accounted for because of some other changes, it will have to happen, because the moment the day I leave it and leave it to tomorrow, it is going to get delayed. So I would say focus, rightly mentioned, that yes, it is an important function, and you need to have set time. Like there are few things you will never leave. Similarly, what you love, you will never leave as such, I would say, in that direction. So yes, keep your focus on, and that is one habit. Like don't leave it for tomorrow. Maybe do something. I'll not say like if I had to read like 8 pages, I'll read five. Maybe even if I have to read one page today, but I'll not miss my habit, so that I am accustomed that yes, this has to happen. Whatever time frame I have to do it today. But next day, if I left 3 pages, it is not like I'm going to read eight. It is going to be 11 to compensate what I left yesterday, so that my timing is maybe lost today, but it's compensated the next day back to it. So that is what I would say is my take on this. Hopefully, Prashant, it's I could answer some bit of it, if not all.
Thank you, Shagun, for that. Let me add two specific practices that I've learned. One is, and this was a little bit about. So there was a point in my career where I was with a startup, and it kind of I was supposed to walk out, so I didn't have a job, and that's a movement. A 5 month break gave me a lot of insights into what should I do and what are the things I had to pick up. Now, one of the biggest thing I realized is, and this is one practice if you want to experiment, Prashant, you can do that. Look at your last 12 months and just measure the amount of time and money you have invested to upgrade yourself. Okay, and the comparison that I want people to draw out here is, and look at the 12 months and look at the appliances or electronics or gadget upgrades you have done. If you're upgrading more on your gadget front in terms of time and money vis-a-vis what you're doing on your course, that's the first signal for you to figure out, okay, there is something that needs to change. Just try this. Look at your 12 months, and you can very very easily calculate. A second point here, which I learned from a health coach, you know, if you do the maths, 1 hour a day on anything that you do is only 3.6% of your annual, total hours that you have in a year. Now, if you cannot spend an hour or let's say 30 minutes, which is 1.8, 1.6, right, percent of your total time in a year on your own growth, are you being fair to yourself? Right? Now, these two things will give you the awareness of where you stand. And as Shagun was talking about, set your goal. Now, identify your next career move or your personal move, and just call out what are the kind of courses you're going to do. I have committed after this entire incident where I lost my job to ensure that every 2 year I invest in a major course. When I say major course, and I'm not talking about only a certification, which is going to be extremely, something that I've not done. And I typically put about 10% of my total earning for the year in that investment for 2 years. And I've been fortunately been able to do that for the last, 6 years now. And it's very, very powerful, because there's no way you are going to grow or I'm going to grow if I don't take care of myself. So these are the two very specific things that you could do. Yes, Shagun is going to talk about reading. I'm not going to leave him, today without talking about how he built his reading habit. But these are the two things to build an awareness. And as Shagun said, awareness is extremely important. And I also believe, awareness is the first step to change. Action is the second. If you're not aware, you will not imbibe the change. So thank you again, Prashant, for asking that question. So Shagun, let me just carve out something here from what something that Prashant has asked. Uh, what are some of the habits or principles of learning that you follow? Any daily routine, weekly routine, annual routine that you do that helps you continuously move on?
Yeah, so I think one other thing you just pointed out is me time. There has to be a me time specifically for you, because I think many time people will say, oh, I am a family person, so I have a kid, and or I have a couple of things at office that I need to take care of. But rightly said, we have to have a specific time for our own self, where it is just me time. And that me time also helps you resonate what I am going ahead in my life, because many times you will realize, okay, this is what I have been doing, maybe something else I need to do in my life is what that me time helps you. So that 30 minutes to 1 hour could be what would help you. So like I said, I do cycling, I do walk. That is my me time. I don't have, so like even if my daughter says like I want to accompany you and I want to cycle with you, I said no, this is my time. This is not going to be anybody else's time. I'm going to go
Mhm.
alone because I want to just think about what I am doing in my own life and is it in the right direction or am I moving in the right direction or not, kind of a thing, and using that for my advantage and for my own future progress. That doesn't mean that I don't give time to my daughter. When there are time for her also, like I had my me time, I had my daughter's time also. But then on that similar note, that me time is required for sure. Now many time people say that I get up early, so I start my office at 7 o'clock. When I say I start my office at 7 o'clock, whether I am working from
Yeah,
home.
7 a.m., 7 p.m.
Yes, 7 a.m. to be precise. Yes, because I'm working with the Australia New Zealand region. Luckily now, so they start early. That's one fit. But even when I was working in Sapient, I still used to reach an hour earlier, because that 1 hour earlier lets you just see. Okay, you are alone in the office. You plan your day. You are ahead of everyone else. You know what needs to be done today. You are equipped enough to handle whatever is required to be done with the team and overall stuff. And then you can focus on okay, what I need to do as part of my next steps during the day. So that me time, whether it's on the personal side by walking or whether it's in the office, it even helps there as well. So that is, I would say, one thing which ideally is a hack that I have been using, and it's pretty powerful for me at least. That has worked out very well in terms of like having that advanced time or that silo time, where you can plan things in a better direction.
Thank you. And this has been a world famous interview questions, and I learned this when I was growing going ahead and moving up in my career. In many interviews, this question was asked, "What do you do in your free time?" And now I've started to realize that it's fundamentally wrong. One, there is no free time,
Yep.
and the biggest thing that I've learned is free time activities never get done, because by the moment we say free time, which means when we have luxury of everything and nothing that I have to do, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to invest in my health, I'm going to write. It
Yep.
is not going to happen for every single of one of you. Look back at your calendar, just 2 weeks, and think of those moments when you said, okay, I'm going to do this in free time. It will not happen. And what Chagun is saying is, carve out that very specific focus time for yourself, even if it is 5 minutes,
Yep.
but please get that carved out. Now it's almost like Shagun and I would have said, when we are free we'll do a session, right? I'm sure we both have prepared. I'm sure many of you have giving us your time by carving it out. So it's extremely, that's one of the most powerful tools, and our brain loves clarity. So carve the time out, even if it is 15 minutes, start with it.
Yep.
And in that me time or that scheduled time, as Shagun is saying, it's non-negotiable. You are not going to allow anything unless until there is, any emergency which is it requires your presence. But yes, be very ruthless, be very demanding with yourself when you are in that particular time, and be mindful about the time, and it's very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shagun. And this is something I learned in Mumbai. Fortunately, I started my career from Mumbai. The biggest reason for traveling early was to avoid traffic.
Yeah.
But I used to see a lot of inspirational leaders actually practice this. They would come early, and for an hour, no emails, no phone. They're kind of in their Zen mode or the den, and then just preparing for their entire day. I learned from few of them. It's powerful. And so,
Yep.
so, so glad to hear that from you also, Shagun.
Yeah, and I think to add in one more thing, like similarly, we talked about a me time or like to do list. Many times we have to have a not to do list also. That I am not going to do some things which are going to be just waste of my time or which don't even require me. Enable people, whether your wife, whether your kid, you can make those decisions. You don't need to be making decisions on their behalf. Let them make those calls. Let everyone learn from some of the mistakes, because that is how they will also be better person tomorrow. If they have a really glaring question, they'll reach out to you. But if that's not the case, let people be owning it. I would say that helps you even get a lot of more time, because many times, like, I am responsible for making decisions. That's great, but do you need to be making every decision? And many times people do that actually. I'm not sure why. If you are enabling people, you are making yourself more available for them to be available when they need you. Secondly, you are having more time for yourself where you can focus on bigger responsibilities. I would say in that way.
Oh, thank you. And on a lighter note, I think I'll schedule a 10-hour session with you live where, because you said you were able to pass this on to your wife also. I've been trying it for ages. It won't work. I think a minimum 10-hour session that we need live to understand how you've been doing that, if you've been able to do it. I can promise it'll get the highest
It will
viewership
take that
ever.
much time, and that time will be consumed. Sure.
Uh, no, when I say wife, I'm talking about spouse. Sorry, it's not about husband and wife. It's just that relationship per se. But yeah, extremely powerful on how do you delegate and how do you, let people do what they could do best. And there are many times that we are entangled in things that we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think one other thing I learned from people is like they'll ask you question and they already know the answer. So instead of answering them, okay, what would you do? I will do this. Yes, that's right. Go ahead. Why are you asking me? Make them authentic that yes, you know the answer. Why are you asking my permission for? You know the answer. Just go ahead and do it. So don't give them answer. That has helped me at least in making that easy thing for people, that okay, I knew the answer. Why did I ask him or her? I think that way, like, people are also being like more accountable, that yes, I can make those decisions. I think that is what helps. Like a wise man said, ask more questions than answering. That helps anyone after that, I would say.
no, but I also believe Shagun is that also comes with a lot of trust in
Yeah.
the manager. Say if they have come to you as a manager, but I'm sure they would trust you, saying that even if I make a decision and it didn't work out, my manager would be
Have
out
my
there
back. Yeah.
standing and having my back. I think
Yeah.
because people ask these questions many times. It's a validation. Many times it's a fear that is coming out, right? But that
Yep.
I'm sure it has worked also because you've given them that faith and the
That's all. Yeah.
trust. And then it's very obvious from the kind of comments that you get saying that they knew that you would have their back if something goes wrong, and they come hand in hand. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I
thank you.
think when you're giving that power, you need to be with them. You can't be saying, "Oh, you took your decision, I'm out," because then it's like backfire. Then you're not there.
That's where it fails. I've done that also, those mistakes as a manager, but that's where it fails when you give accountability to people, but you don't stay accountable to your role as a manager, where you have to stand by the team when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a two-way process, but it's a very powerful one. Thank you.
Yep.
And if people, and a lot of people, they reach out to me when I'm speaking to them. I'm sure you've handled multiple teams across geographies. uh, if somebody is not able to start with their learnability goal or aspiration, or some change that they want to do, is there something that you want to tell them which will help them take that first step and you know uh, get started with something?
Yeah, so I think one thing I would always do with people is what is your personal level goal instead of just the organization level goal, so that they even realize that they need to come up with something that they want to do in their life. And it is fine for people to say, no, I don't have anything. But do you want to even have something or no? Because then if they say no, my next question is, do you want to stay where you are are you happy with what you are doing? Because not everybody in life wants to grow also. That also I have realized lately. There's some people who are happy with where they are, and they want to do the routine job, but they don't want to grow to next level because they have a stable life. And as I mentioned, like they are comfortable with what they are doing and they don't want to be uncomfortable as well. So you have to like appreciate different personalities, but those who are like performers and those who want to grow, you ask them the question, they will always have an answer, or they'll come back that yes, I want to do this. And the timing could differ for sure. Maybe like we plan it for 3 months, it could take 6 months as well, considering maybe office routine responsibilities on something on the personal front and so forth. But at least they are moving ahead. So what speed doesn't matter. It is like, are you moving ahead or not? Is there anything that I can help you? Really like helps them that yes, somebody is cautiously tracking and helping me, or like being aware that yes, I have that goal and together we have that vision to make it happen. I think that helps overall as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, this is perhaps the most important thing from the entire session that you should take away. And Shagun has been talking about this every time and again. Know what you want to, where you want to reach and who do you want to become and what's your goal. And I had this realization. I'm sure many of you would have taken a flight, right? When there is an announcement about the safety features, a very important comment that they make is that before taking care of others, take care of yourself.
Yep.
And that's true for life also, because if you are not able to take care of yourself, don't expect others to take care of them as you want. They will take care of the way that they want,
Yep.
right? So that's extremely valuable and powerful. Please have your own plan, please have your own point of view. And even if you don't have a goal, that's fine, but accept it. And but then, don't get boggled about that. So here is something that I resonate with. If it matters, do something about it.
Yep.
And if it does not, don't allow it to matter.
Yep.
And this will come from the fact when you set your goal and when you are aware of where do you stand. So I'm hearing awareness and goal as two very very important circles that Chakun keeps on repeating. Please think about it. What's your goal? The immediate question that you need to answer is that 5 years from now, 3 years from now, who do you want to become? And if you don't have an answer around that personal goal, you would never stay focused on what do you want to learn and how do you want, and you'll get confused. It's like you're trying to book a Ola or Uber without putting a destination in this, or you're just opened up your Google Maps and you don't even know where you are supposed to go, expecting that the system should tell you somewhere to go. That's where the biggest confusion happens. So, thank you, Shagun, for that. Uh, to the last leg, and I also speak about actionability as a very very important dimension on anything that you want in life. How important and how do you implement the learnings that you gather through structured program, through certifications, through courses that you do, through projects that you do? What are some of the best practices that you have been following, which will help you or help people implement what they've learned? So part one, how important is it to implement? Second, how do you implement?
Sure. So again, I think as part of these two sets, where how important it is going to be, and like the second one you mentioned is how you're going to do that. So action, you rightly mentioned, is the key, because if we just having a goal and no action plan, it will not move. It will just be there if you plan for it. So certainly you need to have some timelines associated with each and everything what you want to do. Uh, Talking about maybe few examples, like I think every organization goes ahead with this goal life cycle, quarter one of the year, that we want to do these things. Similarly, I think New Year we see a lot of people saying I'll do this year, but how many of them have an action plan? I think the moment you say I want to do it in this time frame, that time frame is critical, because whether you do it in 3 months or 6 months, that's not the intent. Have you even planned how much time you think it would take? If you not even thought about it, that is something that you're not even planning for it. That's number one. Secondly, can you consistently give that much time to that particular thing or not? So I would say consistency and the time frame together is required. Even if you are doing it every weekend, it is fine, but have that time frame and consistency. Okay, I would spend 2 hours for this course every weekend, or 4 hours every week for this course, no matter what. Now, whether I have to go to Goa for a trip or whether I have to go to somewhere else out of the trip, that doesn't have anything. If I have to send 4 hours, I have to find that 4 hours. I cannot bluff myself, because the third mistake we usually do is bluffing ourselves. Oh, I'll do it next weekend. That will never happen. I'll do it next day. So if
Excuses,
you are,
excuses,
yeah,
excuses.
yeah,
Our
you
minds
mind, yeah.
are excuses.
So you can't give excuse to self, because you, I would say you are your number one priority. Nobody else will take you as a priority. If you are yourself also giving yourself low priority, then don't expect anything from anyone else at that moment. And fourth thing is, what is in our circle of influence? Like, is it possible for me even to do this myself, or I need support? So that is the time frame I would decide whether I need maybe like a Coursera course for it, or an Udemy course, or actually I would invest time to a paid course through a particular certified person going for that versus doing it self. So like if I talk about my college days, everybody was studying in the campus, but me, one of my friend, we went ahead and did a Microsoft certification at that point of time to have a step over the rest. That everybody would go for the campus selection as part of our colleges, whosoever organization would be coming in, but we would have a step over all of them because we two will be the only certified people. And luckily, we only were the two out of the entire batch. Nobody else even thought about it. I'm not sure why people did not, but nobody else did. And that did not mean that we did not ask or tell others that we should do whosoever our friends were, but nobody was committed to do that. That I cannot get up early that 1 or 2 hours to go for that course and then come to college. You had to do some painful thing to get a better result in the near future. So we were the first two to get our campus recruitment directly over the rest. And I think thereafter, like it has been a similar way. Seeing the others, you always have to be in that zone that what else I could do different so that I am different from the league and I am treated differently. Because if you are doing everything the same, because many times people will come, oh, I'm doing my job well. Am I promotion ready? No, that's a
Yeah,
great question. What are you doing for your next level? No, that I will do when I reach there. But are you doing anything as part of? Because this is what is expected. I think that's a very common myth. I am doing what I am expected, then I am ready for the next level. I think in management, that's not the expected thing. What are you doing out of your boss's work or supporting him or her so that he sees you at the next level is one of the common thing that people miss. And how I can help or take over more thing is like something would be the case, whether now it's on the professional front or on the personal front, whatever it is. Just identify that and pick up those activities which you think entice you or which you think will help you grow as well is I would say the fourth factor there.
yeah, and what Shagun said, so getting into one a role is one thing, sustaining it is another thing, and growing
Growing,
into a next role is a third thing. And all of these three needs different kind of focus. So that's one thing. Another thing that I pick up from Shagun is, and if I may quote something from a book called The Morning Miracle, where the author L. Halrod speaks about something. You know, what it says is our the speed of our personal growth is determines the speed of our personal growth determines the speed of our professional growth, and it's so true. It's so true. So if you want to grow very fast in your career, you have to grow as a person, as an individual. That's where learnability and ownership of learnability and deciding what do you want for yourself is a very important and kind of a non-negotiable tool that you should work with. And as I said, I'm sure Shagun will agree to it. I've been fortunate to work with the best of the best leaders and minds and managers in the country, and this is something that they were very focused on. Right? What do I do with my own self? I need to take care of myself. And third thing, and this is something I'll tell you as a coach that I've been practicing and people that I work with, I do. We resist writing down things and committing to ourselves because writing is commitment. Shagun said about we technically we can fool everybody, but we can't fool ourselves, but we still do it. And one of the reasons is we don't write things down. And if you can't spend 30 minutes writing a goal which is going to change your career, which is going to take you to the next level in next 12 months, right? I don't even want to get into percentage, but if you can't spend 50 minutes in writing your goal and committing to it, please don't expect any results, right? Life is not fairy tale. Fairy tales are only there in books, but you have to take action and commit and write and then move in that journey. And yes, actionability, as I've said, is the gold mine. Everything fails if you don't take action.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Funny has a question. Let me bring that up here. Ketan Shogun, would you put the power of learnability and adaptability in the same bracket? Shagun, it's a tough question, so you will have to take.
Sure. Yeah, so I think adaptability is more like adapting to your environment as well as where you want to go. So they would go hand in hand, basis what I would think in, but not in the same bracket per se. Adaptability is you're adapting to the environment and changing yourself, but learnability is more like your own skill. It has to be like imbibed in you that yes, I have to learn this or not. Something on those lines, I would say.
I would add, in fact, this resonates with a chapter that I'd written in my book, and this is something I picked up from my father. So, and I'm not going into the science of it. It's more of a messaging. So, why he asked me a question? Why is lion the king of the jungle? And my first response was strength, looks, power, multiple adjectives. He had read it somewhere. He said, what differentiates and what makes lion the king of the jungle is the flexibility, and the flexibility is what gives the lion the ability to adopt and continuously move forward rather than getting bulldozed by a situation,
Yeah.
right? In spite of being it the most powerful animal, if it feels that the problem it is trying to overcome is humongous, it'll just sneak out and come up with a different strategy and come back and hit it. So, but and this is something a kahavat in Hindi that existed. I don't remember, but there was a saying that the trees which are very very fruit laden, they are very very flexible. No, trees. So it's very important for trees to be flexible, right? Because if there is a lot of wind, they will be flexible, bend down, but they'll come back to where it is, right?
Yep.
So for me, learnability, adaptability significantly comes from learnability. I'm not talking about the natural biological adaptability. I'm talking about adaptability that we gain. So learnability is a very important ingredient in adaptability. I have very rarely seen people who are knowledgeable and acquired wisdom and not being adaptable and flexible. But I've met a lot of people, and I've been one of them at multiple phases where I've been rigid to saying that what I know is what I know and this is the only version of truth, right? Then I would be rigid, then I would argue, and then I would take stands which essentially won't work out. So to me, they are very very deeply connected, as I put across here. Thank you for asking that. All right, guys, please type your questions if you have. We have just few minutes in here, and while people will put up their questions, Shagun, tell me what you are reading right now, and how did you pick up your reading habit and reading and learnability. What's the connect? How what has this done to you?
So I would say these books they come up with some kind of an experience where you would learn something or the other. So there are some of the best of the books like Ikigai, where you understand the power and I think this me time, what not to do, lot many things I picked up from that book. Then I think the latest trending book right now is the Do Epic Shit of Ankur Wareku. I think most of the people would have read it or like almost on the verge of reading it. It also talks about lot many things. Again, a well consolidated book. Presently, I'm reading this, The Courage to be Disliked.
Ah,
Because I think this is also one of the thing where you can't make everyone happy in the life, right? Some people would not like you, and that's fair. You are not like I would say a comedian that everybody has to laugh at what you are saying. So in the life, you need to have courage to be disliked as well. So this book also talks a lot great things about how to free yourself from what other people are thinking about you. Just think about like what exactly you want to do, how you want to achieve it. Of course that doesn't mean like whatever everybody's saying is doesn't matter, but it's more like getting the power to see whether I need to even react to those discussions or not, I would say, in that direction.
yeah,
So
and they sorry, please go ahead.
please go ahead, Kirtan. Yeah.
No, they cost far lesser than a good coffee even today,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I have reached a phase, and this was for the first 10 years of my career. I just somehow finished one book because I thought. good college. I've done my post graduation from working with good brands, and I don't need to learn. And I was very resistant to learning and learning from others, especially. And the moment after 10 years of my career, I had a forced break. I'm just hoping it doesn't happen to any one of you, but I learned it the hard way. And when I look back, I thought, here I am, I'm in the market, good B school, work with good brands. Now anybody will, hire me. I thought I will have choices to make of where do I want to join. But 5 months, I did not get any job. Initial 3 months, no interviews. After 3 months, I started to get interviews, calls, but none of them were getting converted. And when I reflected back, there were three things that I picked up then. One was, and the core was personal growth. I had not grown as a person. Functionally, I had done a lot of incredible work with my team, but I had not grown as a person. I could not have conversations with people because I was not reading, I was not building a perspective. And that day time, and that's a time when I had every excuse which was out of window because earlier I used to complain, I don't have time, there is so much work, when would I learn? And now I'm sitting at home, right, without a job. I have 24 hours a day. Even if I sleep 50% of the day, I had enough hours in the day apart from engaging with family and doing things that I wanted to do. This excuse was out of window, and I forced myself into it. And it's been an incredible journey. So today, to a point where last year, I read 37 books in a year. This year, I've continued to chase my goal of 60. I would reach there. I want to reach there. That's the goal I've taken. But my day starts with a 30-minute reading. If it doesn't happen now, I feel incomplete. And books are the most powerful source, where people have shared their experiences and learning. It's a gold mine, guys. So please invest in it. Just don't think about what to read, when to read, how to read. Just go ahead today, buy a few books and start reading for 5 minutes. And keep it, visually in front of you so that you can see it, and just pick up 5 pages and start reading and gradually build that habit. But books are, yes, our best friends.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people say, "Oh, I bought an ebook." I think the latest trend is even about audiobooks. Ebooks certainly I don't recommend because you already have that much of laptop time that you need to make your eyes also rest. After that, don't go for an ebook for sure. But yeah, audiobooks or maybe a physical hard copy is always a better bet than like
Yeah.
going ahead. And personally, of course, I don't even like audiobooks than like reading because that gives you that glimpse of the paper, moving it across, making some notes, highlighting things. That, of course, gives you a better handover even in audiobook, which you might even increase that speed just for your own comfort. Oh, let it just go fast. I'm understanding everything, kind of a thing there. Yeah,
No, and then here I have my perspective here is I'll go back to something that you said during the session. Personalize what works for you,
work for you exactly.
right? So I started thanks to ebook because I have a knack for technology. I started reading because of ebooks, and then I realized that what I do is I alternate. I pick up a hard copy book and then ebook, and a hard copy of the book and the ebook. That seems to be working. Audios haven't worked for me, but what Shagun is saying, what I'm also recommending is reading is the most
It is
important
what,
part.
yeah.
See how it can also make life comfortable and not make it difficult. So if you're already into too much of a screen work, it is absolutely a good idea to invest in a physical book. The touch and feel. If you're a tactile person, touch and feel and writing will give you that feeling. If you're somebody who's a techie who enjoys gadgets, pick up a Kindle. It works for me. Audiobooks is I hear a lot of people enjoy it when they're driving or when they're just walking. But yes, that's a gold mine of information and knowledge, and pick a lot from there. Okay, there's somebody. Sorry, I'm not able to see the name, but somebody's saying, Kirtan, yes, can resonate to what you've just said. Thank you so much. So sorry, not your name is not coming here on the screen, but yeah. And then what I've realized is, we all know there are a lot of answers there. So once you know your goal, you have
Yep.
to figure out what will take you there and just pick up. So success leaves a lot of clues.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So Shagun, any closing points for the audience, Shagun, on the overall power of learnability?
Yeah, I think we covered most of the pointers we wanted to. But as I mentioned, like having a learning plan, that doesn't mean that okay, I have to just set up professional goals. Even personal health goals are really important. Focus on that, and of course, if you are physically fit, you will be able to do a lot more and better in your professional life as well. So use that as your excuse that yes, I have to be personally fit first in that direction to be better resonating in my professional life. That would be the signing off note from me, Ketan. Yeah.
No, got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shagun. Thank you so much to every one of you for asking questions and being there. I am sure there was a lot of value takeaways from here. I picked up a lot of things, and I would close it with, you know, in fact, it's a book by Marshall Goldsmith which says, "What got you here will not take you there." And if you just think about this statement, this will give you the most powerful inner motivation you need to have to understand why and how learnability is important, right? Remember this, we didn't clear our we cleared our 10th by the education or the studies that we did for that particular even exam. If I would have used my strategies and approaches for 10th to clear my post graduation, disaster definitely would happen. And that's exactly what you need to do at every stage of your life and career and the goal that you set up. What got you here will not take you there. So decide what where you want to go and make the change. With that, thank you so much, Shakun, for your time. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending this. And have a phenomenal weekend.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.